Welcome to the Garden Path Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 1. Today's guest is Julie Rorrer with Gardenkeepr, a new garden planner company based out of Lockhart, Texas. I came across Julie's Instagram feed earlier this year when I was searching for more Texas gardeners. I kind of put off purchasing one of her planners until I saw that she was marketing her 2017 planners, and I purchased one of the downloadable PDF versions for myself. So once I saw that and started trying to plan my fall and winter garden, I knew that I needed to contact Julie and have her on the podcast. So we talked about not only starting Gardenkeepr, but her experiences as becoming a master gardener, just being a gardener in the Northeast as well as in Texas, and how she's working to grow most of her own food and how that planner has allowed her to make the most of her harvests. So if you're listening to this in real time, that would be November 4th, 2016. You can also take advantage of something Julie has extended to Garden Path Podcast listeners, which is if you buy a paper edition of the planter, you get a printed home edition as well. So this will be available for listeners through Sunday, November 6th of 2016. I'm sorry if you're listening to this at a later date or you didn't happen to catch it in time, but maybe drop Julie an email, and her contact information will be at the end of this podcast. So as always, you can find me at thegardenpathpodcast.com, where you can sign up for my newsletter, which I send out twice monthly with gardening tidbits I find around the internet. You can also email me at thegardenpathpodcast@gmail.com if you're interested in being on the podcast or know someone who might be interested in being on the podcast. And you can find me on Instagram at The Garden Path Podcast, where I'm posting pretty regularly about my fall garden. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Julie, and I will talk to you all later. Well, I'm glad you were able to work out the kinks with me there and get this going. I opened it up and I figured YouTube would be the same, and no, it's totally different today. So,
well, I'm glad it worked out. So,
so I guess we'll start off by introducing you. I kind of came across you on Instagram, I don't know, probably 6 or 9 months ago, and I was really excited to see someone out there putting out a gardening planner. And so if you would kind of introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah, I'm Julie Rorrer, and my husband and I started Gardenkeepr. Well, we put the first one out last year, but it was really small, and it was mostly, we still had a lot of kinks that we wanted to work out, so we didn't really publicize it. We didn't, put anything out about it. And I think that's when I found you, or you found me, however we found each other on Instagram, was last year, like through the Gardenkeepr.
Yes.
And so we still had some things we wanted to work out, but people kept telling us, put it out there. It's really good. So we did. And we did change it up a lot this year. We added a lot more pages and stuff to it that we missed last year. And, but anyway, so it's a garden planner for people that are growing their own food, which we are as well. We basically built it for ourselves, and then it just kind of grew from there. Friends started wanting it, and then people wanted, it just seemed like it was looking for a larger audience. So we put it out there, and it's kind of been like slowly getting some traction. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, when I first found it, I was really excited, but it was kind of like I held off on jumping into it and trying to buy it, because I've always been kind of burned by planners, and even the online ones, because I feel like they've never captured exactly what I want to document, and there's not enough pages. So when I saw your updates for next year's planner and you had the digital version, I was really excited, because I thought, hey, now I can print, an extra page of this and put it in my own binder. And I really liked that option. So I think that kind of helped me bite the bullet and to ask you to come on the podcast and kick off the second season. So
and so we put 3 different versions. Last year we only had the paper version because that's what I wanted, and so we built that. But then this year it was kind of like other people started asking, like, well, I don't want paper, I want it on digital form. And so we opened up the digital form, and then the one that you have is the print at home version. Like, we can send it to you and you can print it, and then you can have as many copies as you want, or like if there's like certain pages that you needed more of, or whatever it would be easier that way for those people. And and then the regular printed version. So yeah, I think we have a nice mix this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. I was gonna go buy some nice paper and a nice little binder for it, so it would look pretty. But I haven't gotten quite that far yet. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. So you're in Austin, right?
Yeah, we're a little bit outside of Austin in Lockhart.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly where that's at. Yeah, and that was another thing that intrigued me into. I was looking for other Texas gardeners because I feel like we're kind of all scattered about, and I don't know, there's not a lot of them online. You have to dig for Texas gardeners, I think. So
yeah,
that was exciting to find you. We kind of have a unique climate, that's for sure.
Yeah, we do. My husband says that when we moved here, he was like, wow, it's like gardening on a different planet.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's either drought or too much rain or, you know. So when we were talking, you're from Texas originally, and yes, you had transplanted to the Northeast at some point in time. Can you talk a little bit about your gardening background, like how you got started into gardening and how that's evolved over the years?
Yeah, after you asked me that question, I thought about it this morning, and I thought really it boils down to we love food. Like that's really where it starts. But then when I was pregnant with my son it was like 2004, 2005, that's when I decided that it was really important. And when we were trying to figure out what were we going to do about like growing food or whatnot, I just didn't really feel equipped. So I went and I took the Master Gardener program up in Connecticut. And while I was pregnant, we went through the whole thing. Literally,
wow.
My son was born, and 2 weeks later we were at like the graduation ceremonies or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he kind of went through it with me. But so that's when we started growing food for him, for us, we just felt like it was really important to have really good food. And so from then on out, we've started growing our own food. And there've been years where it's been, we haven't had a garden, or we've been in places where it's definitely going to be a transition, so there's not a lot of time to do that. But when we started thinking about coming back to Texas, it was we decided we could either live in Austin or move back, to a place where we could have space to have a garden. So we chose not to be in the city and move out and have space so that we could have a really large garden. And we kind of took it on like I don't even know how many years it's going to be because it feels like such a big process, but to grow the majority of our food. And instead of, go to the grocery every week and rely on that to be your source of food, we felt like it would be really nice to challenge ourselves to come up with how can we do it ourselves. And because when you think about it, nobody grows a better tomato than something that you grow yourself in your backyard. I mean, it's just not possible.
Right.
So we just started there kind of, and it hasn't stopped. So it's just been getting bigger. So yeah, it's nice.
Now, how are you coping with maybe this is where the planner comes in, is knowing like what food is going to be in season and dealing with the crops? Because I feel like for me, at least, we will grow something and then we just don't eat it, or we don't put it away fast enough and, it goes bad and we had to put it in the compost. So I'm still trying to come to terms with that on my own. Are you have the same problem?
Yeah, so when we first started, I can remember the first year we grew, 5 or 6 rows of radishes. And I was like, what do I do with all these radishes? Like there's so many of them all at once. And what was I thinking? Why didn't I space it out? And so you start, over the years, we've started to develop like, okay, well, if we're going to plant kale, like these are all the things we can do with it to either keep it, eat it now, or, preserve it for later. So you kind of have like a library of things that you can do with whatever you're planting. And I kind of, when I do plant something, if it's new, like if it was, like when we first started planting kohlrabi or something, I just kind of start researching like, well, what are the different ways in which we can eat it now? And what are the ways in which we can keep it for later? Because, yeah, you do get overwhelmed with the abundance of it all. When it comes up, it's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least with radishes, I found, I tried last year was fermenting them and, to do kind of like, a little pickle, and
Yeah.
I still have them shredded and fermented in my fridge, and now I need to try to incorporate them and mix them in with eggs and things like that. So I've definitely tried thinking about ways like that. It's just a matter of making myself use the stuff.
Yeah.
So, you're a master gardener. What was that program like?
It was really fun. I didn't know what to expect taking it. But I think I learned more there. And in particular, I learned more in the part of it where after you're through the class, you have to take so many hours, like, is it the IPM program where you're like, diagnosing things for people, like in the office?
Mm-hmm. And
that I learned so much just in those hours of doing that, of gardening, than I think I've learned in, 10 years. That was really good. And the people were really nice. They were helpful. Anything you needed, you could, go back again. And yeah, it was a really nice experience, real good group of people.
Did you, recertify when you came to Texas?
I didn't. We didn't do anything. I didn't know if it was going to be needed or not. And so, yeah, I started the Master Naturalist program. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember now. And the timing wasn't right. There was something else going on with my son, and I had to drop out. But I think that I would have gone through that program over like another Master Gardener program and get certified, because I think I kind of like the mix of the two. Right. But I didn't do that here.
Okay. Yeah, Master Naturalist is one I probably would choose over the gardener one at the moment, at least. But yeah, my schedule's not exactly fit for that at the moment. But when you do that, that'd be great to hear more about that if you really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
that program. So I guess gardening in the Northeast versus Texas, what are the challenges you found coming back to Texas?
Oh gosh, it's pretty much every challenge you can think of. Up there, the soil was just beautiful, and it was really easy to grow things. I think the only thing we amended with was like lime. And here, I think pretty much every 6 months it needs like massive amounts of anything you can give it, because by the time July, August rolls around, your soil is really parched and really sad.
Are you doing raised beds or digging straight into the native soil?
We actually are just digging into the soil right now. We'd like to get to the point where we can add in the raised beds, but we have so many that it's just a lot for us right now. So I think we just need to do one at a time and get it going. So, but that's next. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I can't imagine, because we have raised beds too, but I can't imagine trying to garden straight into the ground. I know it works great for some crops. Some crops can handle the terrible soil of Texas, but, or at least most of the regions of Texas. But yeah, I can't imagine going straight in. What kind of compost or amendments are you adding?
Yeah, it's mostly compost. Yeah, we add compost as much as we possibly can, and we, make sure that we have straw or some kind of, covering to make sure to keep all the soil like healthy underneath as possible and away from the sun. And yeah, there's just a lot of, we've also put in, I think just recently, did I put blood meal? I forget, like I did the soil test and it said I needed nitrogen. I think it was nitrogen was the only thing. And so we add like natural sources of things, but yeah, it's mostly compost, and lots more compost.
And is this stuff you're composting yourself, or have you brought it in from elsewhere?
We have 2 compost bins and we're just now getting the hang of it, but there's just not enough for us that we bring in everything. So yeah, pretty much. There's a little bit that we don't, but there's just such a need for it that there's no way we could keep up with it.
Yeah, we've had to do that before too, just because ours hasn't been ready or it's a wrong season, and trying to really, we probably need at least another compost bin. We've got 2 as well. One to, it's actively cooking, and then the other we're adding to it. So it's a juggle, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So with all of everything you're growing, and what planners or things have you tried before that just kind of catapulted you towards starting Gardenkeepr?
Well, so, I've like the planner I used before, it was just like a calendar for a yearly calendar, and I kind of just made it up myself. Like it was just a regular, 12-month calendar, and I just started putting in the things that I needed. I couldn't really find one. I never found one that would do exactly what I wanted, and that was kind of the problem. But yeah, so it was just like a regular 12-month January through December calendar, and I just started kind of putting in color coding. Like I do a lot of color coding for some reason. And yeah, I started putting in like above ground goes in and below ground goes in, and because we do gardening by the moon, and we do different things like that, and companion planting. So I had different things in the back that were like this big layout of our garden, and I just plotted little dots everywhere to put, where everything was going to go that season. And yeah, so I kind of made it up before I actually made it, if that makes sense.
Well, that's how things evolve and grow and turn into something real. So I think that's a great way to start. And you said your friends started asking for it. Now, were you binding these yourself, or how did you start sourcing that?
Yeah, so I actually, my husband's a graphic designer. And so when I first came up with it, I was like, okay, this is what I have. I need you to make it look pretty for me. And could you put it with a spiral? Because I don't want the perfect bound, because I'm left-handed. And when you open up a perfect bound planner, like it always keeps bumping back at you when you're writing if you're left-handed. Right. So my only requirement was it has to be spiral bound.
Okay.
So we did it here. And that was, he made me one.
And now is it outsourced, or are you guys still making them yourselves at home?
We actually made this year's, but next year we're going to send it out, because I thought, okay, now it's exactly how we want it. Now we can, send it out. And so next year, that's the plan for next year.
That's crazy. You guys have started out from, just something for yourself, and now you're ready to start shipping out. And you've had a lot of people. What's your outreach been like, marketing wise, and in the growth, I guess I should say?
Yeah, well, it's been really nice. So, it's going slowly, but we have a lot of interest from some magazines locally, which I was really excited about. So we have, they've let us know about it going in some gift guides in magazines.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So I think, all it is it's just making sure that they know who you are and that you're out there, and eventually, it seems to be trickling in. And today, for some reason, this is like a big milestone for us, but we had like multiple people purchase it, like during the day today. We had multiple people at once. Like usually it's just one person a day, or like, there was very little, like, it's like it comes in every day, but it's like, one person. And today there was like multiple people buying. So I was like, woohoo, that was really exciting.
That definitely helps the ego a little bit when you're like, okay, am I doing the right thing here?
Exactly. Well, yeah. And we like it and we use it, but it's like, you never know if other people are going to like it either. So.
Yeah, I think especially if you get if the magazines and going in the gift guides, especially starting now before Christmas, I think you will probably see an uptick in sales, hopefully.
Yeah, and, we're still at the beginning too. It's like we put it out pretty early because we knew nobody knew about us, and we knew, it's going to take a while in the very beginning. So we're just excited that there's actual activity. It's really fun.
Yeah. Now, are you mostly marketing? You said the magazines. Are they finding you through Instagram or your website, or
it's
either word of mouth?
Yeah, a little bit of both, but it's word of mouth and emails. And yeah, I'm not, just however local people must know about us a little bit, or yeah. And we've also been telling people different groups that we're here too. So that helps a little bit too. So I'm sure just kind of word of mouth after we send something and then somebody sees us, or, who knows?
Now you said, so you have the print one.
Yep.
The print at home, the paper one, and now you have the digital one. Now, what does that one look like for users who would prefer? Is it smartphone adaptable, or is it just for your laptop kind of thing?
Yeah, it's for your laptop or your computer, and I'll send you a copy when we finish so you can see it too. But it's all digital, no paper. You save everything, you input there. It can go down to, it shows you a yearly, a month view, and then a day view. So you can do each day, you can write out your whole list of everything that you're doing each and every day of the year. So you can keep notes like the whole entire year, save it, and it's all on your computer. You don't have to have any printouts if you don't want. It's all in one place. So it's really nice. It's big. It's I think it ended up being like, I don't know, almost 400 pages or something.
Wow.
But yeah, it's really nice. Like I said, I'll send it to you so you can see, but it's kind of fun too. I'm curious to see if I would use it more than the print one, because I feel like I would use the print one the most, but I'm not sure because I really like that one too.
Well, see, that's kind of was my thought with a lot of the online planners and notebooks for this, is that, I'd rather have something with me while I'm out in the garden, or, come in and sit down and write it down, versus like, okay, now I get back online and I've already been online all day for work or whatever. So I think that's been one of the allures for me to have the printout version. But I know so many people just, they don't want more paper or more clutter and doing that. So I would definitely be curious to see like what's the preferences by, this time next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
And I mean, so speaking of this time next year, like what's your vision for Gardenkeepr? How do you see this going in the future?
Well, I kind of hope that it becomes a resource for people that grow food, and that it kind of inspires them to grow food. If they're not, to start, and if they are, to just make it really important, like a real priority to, for their health, for their family, for their kids, like, and just knowing how to grow something. I think it would be really fun to see it go in that direction.
Yeah, one thing I think people have definitely seen the interest in gardening and growing their own food, but I feel like a lot of people get stuck at, and we've talking about what to do with our harvest, and then I think a lot of people probably abandon it or feel like they can't keep up. So, what do you have any recommendations for trying to balance all of that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. What to do with your harvest? I mean, as far as I don't know. I think what we do with ours, like I said, the now, later, and like, I think that's a good place to start, is to try to just keep building up your recipes, or your, if you're going to ferment, or if you're going to dehydrate, or if you're going to, like, whatever it is that you can have, like a whole grouping of things that you can do with that one thing. I think just keep on building those resources for yourself. I think it's a good start.
Well, and start with things you want to eat versus the odd vegetables you see in the magazines. So.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's like, I don't know about you if you do this, but I mean, we only grow stuff that we think is like super cool, and we're ready to like eat all of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely grown some things before. Like, I did not grow up eating beets, and so we grew beets, and We tried it and they're pretty cool and they're pretty, and I'd like to grow them again because I, like eating the greens. The greens are nice, but I feel like, I don't want to waste the beet itself because it's not something I grew up with eating. I don't have that knowledge of how to cook it and preserve it and, what's really good about it. So, but there's always that allure. You see something in the seed catalog, you're like, that looks cool. I want to grow it. And then you grow it and you're like, well, now I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, now I don't want to eat it.
Yes. It's like radish seed pods. Those look really cool, but I'm kind of scared by them.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I told you that I had written a kid's book about beets, and I mean, the back history behind it is we have a really big beet thing in our family, but I hated beets. Like, I hated them with a passion. I told everybody I hate beets. They're disgusting. It's like eating soil. Like, there's nothing I think I would rather do less than eat a beet. And so we started growing them because my husband adores beets, loves them more than anything. And so I was like, whatever, I will make them. I will put them in the ground for you, and you can do whatever you do with beets. That's fine. And I don't know what happened one day, but I tried one and I ate it raw on a salad. And from that point on, I love beets. And so I can't get enough. They're awesome in every form. We do all kinds of things with beets, but they're delicious. So
I've had someone here in the office. They put them in a smoothie, and it wasn't bad. It makes it a really pretty color, but you get that earthy taste too. So I feel like maybe like half of whatever was put in there would be good.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's the whole, like, the ones at the store, I don't know if they were store-bought or not, but the ones at the store, to me, are just so different than what you grow. Again, it's just such a difference. I can't have a beet from a store. It's not possible. But the ones in our backyard are just yum.
I totally hear you. I'm the same way with, with tomatoes and carrots and things like that. There's definitely a drastic difference in harvesting something straight versus what you get at the store.
Yep.
So we're coming into October, and it's our cool season, and we're lucky to grow year round. Or what do you guys have going for the cool season vegetables?
So we put in beets, kohlrabi. We put in some peas, a few different beans. The beans are coming out now. Some kale, I think I put in some chives. We're going to put in a whole bunch of lettuce, but we haven't put it in yet because it's still been pretty hot.
Yeah.
Let's see. I put in some radishes, we have a second round of tomatoes. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to be out enough or not. We'll see, depending on if we get a cold snap. There's collards, a lot of collards, some chard, some Swiss chard. We're still getting peppers. We're getting a lot of pekins. What else is in there? I mean, we grow pretty much everything, but we don't, there's not a lot of the ordinary, like we grow one zucchini plant a year, but that's about it. We don't grow like stuff that is so abundant and we won't eat a lot of.
Right.
We kind of hold back on those. But yeah, garlic and onions, and we use those almost every day. So.
Yeah. Do you, I need to know your secret for garlic, because we've tried multiple times and have failed with our garlic. I'm thinking our soil might be too rich, or was probably too wet this year because we've had the flooding. But yeah, garlic is one crop I have not had luck with. So I'm definitely interested in any tips you have on garlic.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think what we did last year. We did have a problem with some of them rotting or not rotting, whatever you call that, when they get soft with the rain, because the rain was really, really intense, like you said. But we did get some. There wasn't, I'm trying to think if the ones that had more sunlight stayed. I don't know. I could be wrong totally, but I think that the ones that were in a bed that were like super, super hot, I think it might have like kept it away from the moisture as much as the other ones.
Okay.
But yeah. I I don't think that they do super well in Texas to begin with.
Yeah, my brother in Fort Worth, he usually has a pretty good garlic harvest. So I'm thinking it may be a zone thing as well. Are you in 8B or 9A?
I'm trying to think. I think we're 9A, aren't we?
I think so, because I'm thinking of Lockhart to where I'm at, and I think we're probably in that same kind of, that line
Yeah.
near, so the cutoff. So yeah, I think we're probably close to not being in good territory for that crop, but we'll see.
And I'm trying to think the things that, and I don't know if you grow, like, do you grow kumquats?
No, we do grow some other citrus, but we've not grown kumquats.
And does it do well? Does the citrus do well?
We have to choose the varieties that will handle some of the cooler temperatures. Like we want to do key lime, but limes typically aren't that great. They need a little warmer than, they can't really handle too much cold weather. But I think we've got, oh my gosh, it's a lemon that looks like an orange, or an orange that looks like a lemon. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
And a couple other citrus, but we'll cover them if it's going to be below 30 for any length of time. But if it's only going to be 32, 33, we don't even bother covering them, and they do just fine.
Yeah.
So I'd like to grow some more tropicals and avocados and things like that. But if we were 30 minutes south, closer to Houston, when we get that ambient city temperature, we could grow a lot more than we do. But we don't have that.
Yeah, same here.
So I guess plants you love and plants you've had failures with.
Oh gosh. Well, I can tell you the failure really quickly. Those always pop out, right? The one thing that I had such a big deal with was rosemary from seed. Do you know having problems with rosemary from seed?
I've never even tried. That's interesting.
Yeah. So we ended up actually buying one over at Natural Gardener because, and it's gigantic in the backyard, and it will probably live forever, and we could divide it up 1,000 times. But yeah, so there's something with rosemary from seed that you have to have it at all these different temperature. Like I forget the whole process, but you have to put it in the freezer, and you have to like wet, it's got to be in wet soil in the freezer. And there's like this weird thing that has to happen for it to germinate. And it was really tough. I mean, I think I sprinkled probably 3 packets outside, and I was like, why is the rosemary not growing? It's like a weed in Texas. What is going on? So yeah, that was my biggest flop.
Yeah.
Before I learned that. And I'm trying to think of, like, the thing I love to grow the most is figs, but it's, we bought a house that had a fig it had 3 fig trees. Because that was kind of one of my prerequisites. I was like, we live in Texas. I want a fig tree. So yeah, I love figs.
Ours came with a fig tree as well. And I'm happy that I take pictures all the time of our garden, because I can go back and look and see how things have changed. And it was definitely scrawny and need of help when we moved in. And I didn't think it looked that bad, but after we've taken care of it and seen it through the years, it's grown a lot and it looks so much more healthy. But we always have a problem fighting with it, with the birds and the squirrels for figs. So this year they were going after them before they were even ripe. So we didn't get anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I would see a fig and be like, okay, I'll come back, tomorrow or the next day and come check it out. And it would have holes in it already because somebody's been picking at it. So, so that's my failure, at least for this year.
What do you enjoy most?
Oh gosh. Plant in the garden. I wish I could have tomatoes. We have not had good tomatoes the last 2 years, mostly because of the rains. Gosh. And, but I definitely like growing kale, I think, in the greens in the winter. So, and we've had good luck with carrots and peas as well. So we'll try garlic one more time, and I may give up. So
I'm trying to think. I'll look up the variety that we use because it's pretty hardy, and I think we've had it for 3 years. I keep pulling it up and putting it in, and yeah, it's been going for 3 years. So, and I think we brought it from Connecticut for some reason. I feel like we had it there also.
Well, that's pretty hardy if it goes from both of those zones.
Yeah. So I'll let you know what it was.
Yeah. So I guess we can wrap up with where can people find you if they want to check out Gardenkeepr and purchase one of your options and stay up to date.
Yes, so we are on Instagram at Gardenkeepr, like GardenKeepr, and then that same gardenkeepr.com is where you can purchase anything.
Okay, cool. I'm excited to see how things go next year and how successful you become, because I have a feeling that there's a niche to fill and a lot of people are going to be interested in hopefully maybe bettering their gardens by planning and just noting like phenology and how well things do, and maybe having better success by keeping track of what's growing in their gardens. So
I agree.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it for next year. I may even start earlier and try to adapt it for the next few months. I've got to start my seeds this weekend. I'm getting the beds ready for the fall crops. So I think I don't want to wait till January to start. So I may have to start keeping some notes now. So
great.
We'll see. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad we got the kinks worked out. I was nervous there for a minute because YouTube likes to change things in Google.
Yeah. Well, it's really nice meeting you finally. I've been really excited to get on the call with you. So I'm glad that we did that. And I'm really glad to meet another Texas gardener too, because it's really, like you said, it's a little bit hard to kind of find each other, and it's nice to find you. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks again. Have a great day. Talk to you later.
You too. Bye.